couple of seconds and we should be alive. Mr. Chairman?
Good night, good night, good night to our Belizean public, both at home and abroad. Again, this is our 36th 36th edition of Belizean Affairs. And tonight, we have a lot to discuss. But first, we want to welcome Miss Sharon Pitts, attorney at law, here with us again. Thank her so much for, keeping us alive.
Yes, you're welcome. Thanks.
And Gregory Brackett from the beautiful city of Belize City. And Mr. Leonard Brackett, all the way from Northern California. I used to be in that neck of the woods too, Leonard. I want to say pleasant good night.
Okay.
So, Gregory, introduce yourself there, my brother.
Good night to Belizean people at home and abroad. My name is Mr. Gregory Brackett. Tonight, on this our 36th edition of Belizean Affair, I'm sitting virtually with our chairman, Mr. Roody Wade, along with attorney at law, Miss Sharon Pitts, and my good cousin, Mr. Leonard Brackett.
Leonard?
You want Miss Pitts go, and then after she...
Okay, Miss Smith, Miss Pitts, go ahead. Miss Pitts.
Prayer and the prayer. Oh, good night. Sorry, I need to... first, I wish to say to listeners, I know I had been asked for last time, so my regrets and apologies, as I had indicated to Mr. Leonard and the other co-hosts. It totally slipped me. Monday was the evening of patriotic songs at Wesley Methodist Church. And so, of course, by way of tradition and heritage, we have to make sure we give thanks in the service, but it's also a very, very important feature element on the official National September celebrations calendar. So I was compelled to be there, not by force of law, and so on, right?
Thank
Commemoration. And the next thing is Mr. Wade. My condolences are joined with those of the others and to your family and the Stanford family through your wife on the transition or passing of your mother-in-law. And I know it is much of a sacrifice for you to be here tonight, no? But
thank you.
Continue. I know it's usually the husband who upholds the wife when, a mother is lost. So I know you're a stalwart there, and you are blessed in that, and that is not something to be taken for granted, right? So continue, and your whole family, are kept in God's embrace, right?
Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Spitz. Leonard, I'll do the prayer, and then from reading, then I'll go back to you with the prayer. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. As you know, viewers and listeners, we always kick off our program with a prayer and a reading. I'll do a prayer from Proverbs. I'll continue from Proverbs 11 to 20. It says, the house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish. There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death.
Amen.
Even in laughter, the heart may ache, and the end of joy may be grief. The backslider in heart will be filled with the fruit of his ways, and a good man will be filled with the fruit of his ways. The simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his steps.
Amen.
One who is wise is cautious and turn away from evil, but a fool is reckless and careless. A man is quick to temper, act foolishly, and a man of evil device is hated. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. The evil bow down before the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. The poor is disliked even by his neighbor, but the rich has many friends. That's my reading. Leonard?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Smith. My name is Leonard Brackett. I'm one of the co-hosts on the program. I'm glad to have the opportunity to sit with the other three co-hosts here tonight, Ms. Sharon Pitts, Mr. Gregory Brackett, and our chairman, Mr. Roody Wade. It gives me great pleasure to have this opportunity accorded, and hopefully I can contribute some positive effects to the program on behalf of our people at home and abroad. Tonight is Belize Affairs show number 36 for Wednesday, 6th of September, 2023. And we're moving up in numbers quickly. I'd like to ask if you can bear with us as we say a short word of prayer. Divine loving Father, as we come before thy presence, we pray that thou mayest listen to our petitions on behalf of ourselves, our family members, friends, and loved ones, and on behalf of our country and its leaders. Please have mercy upon us. Please guide us, the noise of our hearts, our desires, and even our most secret thoughts. Please accept words of our mouth and the meditation of our minds and the contriteness of our hearts. Continue to guide and protect and bless us, and help that whatever we have to say tonight, may it be something positive that can bless our leaders, help them to lead our country in a more honorable way, a more God-fearing way, and to use our powers to the well-being of the people and country. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Thank you, Leonard, for this warm.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask you to give me a second?
Go ahead.
Maybe less than a second. I just want to stipulate something quickly before we forget, before the program is over tonight and we forget to mention it. Our panelist, Ms. Sharon Pitts, has been asked to be our chairman for Friday night's program. This particular Friday night coming, usually Friday nights is constitutional night and legal affairs, but because of our 10th of September and 21st of September major holidays, and you know, they are significant days in our history. We'd like to ask Ms. Sharon Pitts, well, we did ask her, and I'm just trying to say this as a notice to the public, that we'd like to invite the general public to listen to her as she presents our program, and we try to support her in next Friday's program. And we are hoping that it will be focused mostly on the centenary or celebration occasion. And maybe she can even, if Mr. Gregory Brackett could probably help her to figure out how she can include as part of our program for that night some of the activities that took place in the, at the Wesley last Monday night activities, no?
Yes, sir.
So, Greg, I'm imploring on you to please.
If hooray, hold up your hand and wave your flag. Just send it to me and I will have it audit, and I will run Friday from the PC so I can do those. It will come naturally when I have it on the PC.
I noticed she's already bragging with her flag, so I have to go pull out
If hooray, wave your flag.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you, Miss
idea,
Miss,
Sharon.
for
We're looking forward to
accepting
see you
And
our
then
Friday.
our
that way I
invitation.
feel
You know, thank you so much.
I don't have to split myself so that you know, I can. It's really a joy and a wonderful time to be able to commemorate
Thank,
and celebrate Belize.
Amen.
Thank
thank
You
you. Amen
should
for that.
tell Dr. McKay not to be in the background. Make sure she's on Friday. She will bring enough knowledge, being a teacher, a former
who is
teacher,
it?
with,
Miss
with the
McKay,
knowledge of
Teacher McKay.
historical events.
Yes, and she's the head of the
With
Belize History Association, Dr.
Wow, wow.
Uh,
exactly. That's
Sharon,
why I'm giving her props one time for Friday night.
Sharon,
Yes,
could you give her a formal invitation for us? Could you extend to
Please.
yes,
her a formal
sir.
invitation?
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Will do.
Right.
And find out for me
That
if
was
we
it.
send her the link to the same address as we did the last time, or if we can do it, because I noticed she had another organization that she had used a link for, no?
Oh, I
And
see.
yeah, and I noticed that's like her regular link up on the internet. So I'm wondering if we should just send the invitation to her there, or how we should do it. But I'll leave that between you and Greg to try and help us with, no?
Yes, and Greg, please make sure you link up with me so that we get that done by tomorrow with respect to reaching out to Dr. McKay and ensuring,
Right. No problem.
you
Thank you
know,
very much, and I'm sorry that
mutual citizen.
we took off part of our program for tonight as late as we are, but we're
No,
just trying to
it's
make sure
well
that
worth
next
it.
Friday program work out, no?
It's well worth it. It's well worth it. Thank
Okay,
you.
so
First
back
of
to you,
all,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
for
First of
tonight's
all, I
program.
want to thank all those who send their condolences to my family. For the passing of my mother-in-law. I want to thank them so much from the bottom of my heart. And may God bless them and keep them safe. And again, thanks. From the
Amen.
heart. Um, you know, uh, I am a person of people, lover, and country. I I I in tune of what's going on in the outer world, but my all my being right now has been about country and my people. Um, so my time I want to dedicate it to be the voice of the poor and less fortunate and the voiceless and the people who has the voice but for some reason cannot speak out for whatever reason, because in this country politics is the root of evil. In this country people are afraid to speak out because they don't want to get beat down by the air representative or their minister, or whichever party they are affiliated with. And in my personal view, it's not supposed to be that way, because an elected government should be a government for all people,
Hmm.
not only when the UDP is in power, they service only their political fanatics. Shouldn't be like that, because the money they spend is not the UDP money or a
Hmm.
certain portion of society money. No, it's the people's and country money. Same as the People's United Party. When they are in power, they service only their cronies and friends and family and close people. We watch it for decades. I watch it all the time. We need to step out of that, man. Right? That stuff is played out long time ago. People are clamoring for equal representation, equal justice, equal distribution. If you have $10 to give to the people, give it to the people. Don't give it to only a few. That's got to stop. Got to stop. The laws you make should be laws for people across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Not only a few and privileged people, right? Like I say, I speak for the poor and less fortunate, the Lehman way and the family way and any village and all way and any corners, and I speak for them, right? They talk about free education. That's a gimmick. That's a little. You see when the magician and pull something out of the hat, so that's when they always pull out of the hat because to divert attention, right? Free education. That is something that they hear about for the past 40 years. I want this minister of education come to the nation and tell them what part is free, right? Because I, as a poor Belizean, I help a lot of poor people in time of need. And they say education not free, even toilet paper they got to take to school, right? And not to mention the deplorable conditions of some of these schools. We saw one in San Pedro Island, broke it, the veranda and everything, they fall down, right? Where are the millions of dollars, taxpayers' dollars? Where? Show us, Mr. Minister, show us where it is free, man, right? The healthcare system, right? Deplorable. We say in the 21st century, we will have a CT scan in each one of these public hospitals. I am licensed in the state of California, nursing field, and I know about good service, right? Belize, we are really backwards. Common poor people are going, they want a test done, right? They have to go to outside sources to get these tests done and then bring back the result so the doctor could read it in the public hospitals, right? Shame, right? Shame. What happened to all the donated, not taxpayers' money, donated from abroad? What happened to all those equipment donated to Carl Hushner, donated to PG Hospital, Corozal Hospital, and hospitals around this country? Where are these equipment? In my view, they are in some private entity, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's to show you the level of corruption. And I hear a learned man, Mr. Darrell Bradley, says that we shouldn't worry about UNCAC and corruption. He said that we should be thinking about something else. I'm not going to say the other thing because it does not really fly by me. But he said that people not fully worry about it. On the news, this news today, I saw that people not worry about corruption, right? And he is one of the educators that go out. They say he is educating the people on the Constitution Reform Committee, right? He's one of those panelists, right?
Oh,
What is wrong with these guys? Are they easily bamboozled and bought out for promise a high level post or promise some money to say these? And I know that man know better than that, right?
definitely.
I know that. So sad, right? And I wish we had a lot of time so I could go on the ills of these people. All they do is get elected and serve themselves. Serve themselves and forget the poor and less fortunate and forget country, right? And whenever they are in election mode, you hear them going about and promising the people. Promise. This stuff got to stop. right? So anyway, we watched on that amnesty situation, a while back. This Prime Minister John Bresenio said that, all this, the people that going to that are applying for amnesty, them people know and get Belizean citizenship for vote yet, in this election. He said that in the house when there was a question asked to him, and whoever don't, they could revisit that,
Lie,
right?
lie.
As I speak, their backdoor immigration office open 1, 2, 3 o'clock, right? Then they do the same shenanigans that the UDP did, and they call out, they said UDP did this and UDP did that the night, and they do the same darn thing, right? And they went on to say, well, they had serviced 5,600 and odd people in the mobile clinics that they were doing in Amnesty, and sponsored by the US government, you know, Leonard, your tax dollar, my tax dollar, right? You know, so and all the good things that they have done for this amnesty process, 132 villages that they visited, right? For in the name of amnesty, right? And I say, man, what is wrong with these people, And they have poor and mention that they give thanks and praise to some of the doctors and some of the labs that help the process, right? And it came to me, I said, darn, you have these poor people going to the hospital and can't get a free lab test. They got to pay $120, $125, 40. I mean, I tell you, that's what I pay, right? Around. So I'm just calling little numbers there, right? And these people don't have the money to pay for these tests. So why don't they solicit these same people they solicit for amnesty to service strangers, right? And leaving their own people to suffer, right?
Mhm.
And then I'll close off by this, says that a student gave the young man $5,000 a couple days ago to get his eye surgery. 5,000. His all his savings he brought to this young man and gave it to him. And I said kudos to that young man and thank him for being generous. And I wish that the minister that responsible for that young man in that area and the prime minister and all of them, right, who abuse our the people's purse, right, learn from that man, learn. So I
Pay
want to I
him,
want to thank him.
reimburse him with an award. Thanks.
They gave him an award.
No, I said I need to reimburse him
Exactly. And and
and
and
give him an award.
and he's a young man, a student, right? A student. My heart goes out, right? you know so all these things, these people are shameless, right? Are very shameless. So these are the things that I call out. These are the ills that and there are lots more, right? But we have little time. So guys, let's talk about a little bit on the healthcare situation in this country and the $90 million that's supposed to give to the Belizean government to build a state-of-the-art hospital. And I don't know if they got that money yet, right? Meanwhile, people are dying at our public hospitals. Leonard, you want to go first on that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'll go at that particular statement you just made about the hospital. And I would like to contribute my own thoughts on some of that, such as, for example, we're happy that foreign entities, governments or institutions or whatever they are always willing to accommodate our government and our people to try and help us move our country forward. I wish that our government would be as diligent in making sure that somehow or another, Even if they have to put out one donation can and shake it all over the world to try and come up with some extra funds to equip the present hospitals that we have that people go to and can't get services, either because they lack the medicines, or they lack the personnel, or they lack the space. It's nice to have a new hospital being built or planned to be built, which will take a few years before it comes online and probably become available. After they find money to equip it and to get all the medicine and things what they need to make it run properly. So it not become like Carl Houston and some of the other one there that may end up probably with a new building but nothing to do service with because you don't have the medicine. You probably will have new equipment, but we need to find money to come up with medicine. And we need to come up with that medicine right now, or maybe yesterday, as a matter of fact, because there are people in the hospital. In fact, I'll make it sound a little bit more dramatic. I have lost family members in the Belizean hospital system because of negligence, because they don't have the medicine, and by the time the people can get the medicine, they don't pass away. It's sad. Because the one person that I'm particularly referring to in this case was the mother of some other kids too. So those kids are going to be growing up without their parents, and other people have to step in at the breach to see them children grow up to adulthood and prepare them to meet what they're going to have to deal with in the future. So it's not just that they lost their parent because of medical shortcomings by our government, but also they will have to suffer for many years to come during their lifetime until they grow up and become an adult. And it appears that to our government, there's no sense of urgency to come up with the necessary money, whether you got to go to the cabinet and ask cabinet to go and ask the House to appropriate some additional funds to the budget. Just like when they always go to the House to ask for extra money. As a matter of fact, almost every House meeting that they have had since their term started, it seemed like it's just about something to do with getting some extra money. Why can't they find a way to come up with some extra money to equip with hospitals them? Even if they can't equip them fully, do better than what they're doing currently, is my point. They never take no money out of it in one pocket to facilitate and get these policies implemented. And when we have Belizeans abroad who try to engage with the government to try and get equipments and things and medicine and so on sent back home, then snub them and pretend like, well, they don't need their help, or they don't want to be bothered. They don't have time to engage them because they're not bringing no money, putting up in their pocket like the money where they bring them the investment for doing $200 million worth of investment. You see, then they hobnob and they drink their liquor and have fun time. In the meantime, people they suffer in a hospital. People don't got job. People go sleep hungry. I said that a few times to a few of my colleagues there, and they tell me I did a state and I did lie because nobody that believes they go sleep hungry. I make trips to Belize oftenly, and I go in a lot of different people in the house. I see where they go on. I know where they go on. Because every time that I'm in the country, I'm into other people's house. So and then a stranger, sometimes I see them for the first time. They're not family members I talk about when I say that. I talk about the survey that I do every time I come to the country to appraise myself of these realities, which is why I'm able to talk on these things. And I also talk because, just want to sound like I have some criticism for levy out to the government or to the people. I'm talking because we need better. We elect a government to do the best they can. But instead of doing the best they can, these idiots are running around trying to figure out how to hustle on the side. They spend so much time involved with the hustle that they don't have time to take care of the people's business. Yet then take the people's power that we vested in them as a government and suborn those powers to facilitate people who bring in money to invest and who are making them get at least something on the side out of that investment. They don't care about the rest of the people. They don't got time for you to go try, like I said, shake while you can here, shake while you can there, and so on to try to get money to help the economy of the country in terms of providing what the country need and the services that the country need. Most of these investors that they are hobnobbing with come to Belize to use Belize to make for them money. They're not coming if we provide no tax base for the country or want to pay no taxes so that the government could have money to meet its wage bill and to pay for outfit the hospitals or do other things that needs to be done for the general public. From 1981 till now, 40 odd years, we should have been much better off than we are.
So right
And
on
all I
that.
really ask is that the government pays attention and does its job. I'll leave it at that for right now because I have more to comment on, but I need
Thank you.
to make the other panelists
Thank
then
you.
have
Thank
weigh in and
you.
have their say.
Thank you, Miss Spitz. You want to
It
uh,
seems to me that
see where
the
we are going wrong?
the health of the nation is the wealth of the nation. The
Mhm.
most important, the humanity of the nation. And I said at that constitutional, whatever they call it, I know I call it meeting at Brother Swift Center a few weeks ago. Um, a Facebook user just said good night, good night. Basically, it strike me that one time people used to say that an elder who had lived out life, instead I said dead for natural causes or said, and I said dead for old age, right? So the
Mhm.
person had a proper life dignified. And then I quoted, I don't know if I quoted then, but I recall subsequently, Bertoka said that we have protected areas and endangered youth. What we have is, to my mind, I don't know if it could have happened more consistently if they never plan it than if it's just recklessness, callousness, indifference. I don't
Mhm.
know what to call it. There's no polite way. Basically, how did we get here? We should take care of our people from, as I say, before conception to right through to ensuring that people have quality of life from youth to age. What we have is that I mentioned one of the things we have. Take the young people or a young man who might be a victim of gun violence, right? The first responders cannot be the police. The first call should be, or responding should be, the ambulance, the first person interceding with that person so that they go there purposefully bent to save life, to give that person every chance. I don't know that police qualified for the pronouncement dead or throw man in at the back of. How do we treat our people like that? Then I mentioned the other thing that in other countries, you could be in the most upscale neighborhood, but if you have an emergency, they have the plaque outside that you have to be treated, and then after the system work out recompense to the institution. We have a public hospital, tertiary level in Belize, and instead of funding it to the maximum, what they are doing is raiding and dismantling it. The policies seem to be an abandonment, and it's in a population hub with tertiary hospital, and it is in my view, teaching hospital as well. And we have doctors and nurses. We have medical personnel. Another thing apart from food security, and that is a part of our health as a nation
Uh,
too, is
Sharon,
that,
Ms.
yes,
Spitz,
sir?
uh, can can you yield me just a second to
Yes, sir.
add something to what you were saying just now about the hospital itself?
Yes, sir.
There is something going on in our country, and I believe that there's a lot of people who know it is going on but refuse to address it. The hospital that the government, the UP government, had put in place as a private entity with we want money that we can't get no services out of, is working and being healthy, well financed, well support and is providing help or medical services to the people who can afford their services at the expense of the government hospital. To me, it seems like there's a deliberate attempt to undermine the government hospital so that that other hospital can prosper.
The thing
And
is,
more,
Mr.
sorry, go
Sorry,
right
Mr.
ahead. Go ahead.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you.
The
Thank
thing is that when they were talking dialysis, right, there
you.
was an evil attempt to start it as private.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, certain services are, I don't want to even call it outsourced, sent to private hospitals
Mm-hmm.
away from the main hospital, which has a responsibility falling on taxpayers' money to provide services to people from all walks of life, but especially those who are at the in the position where they don't have no choice but to go. And in my view, the Cartesian Memorial Hospital is still the best hospital as a tertiary hospital, and it must be strengthened and augmented instead of raided. You
Right.
have things like the dispensary. Remember Old Belize City Hospital and the dispensary. So
Mm-hmm.
the pharmacy. One time I remember one gentleman was sick years and years ago. He asked me to, this was a man who was at stevedore, but he asked for me to go there when he was being discharged. And I was leaving with the what you call it, the thing where they write down the medicine plan, the prescription.
Uh-huh.
But the hospital personnel said, no, go to the dispensary. This man was able to get his prescription filled for like $2, right? Apart from that, the nurses and the doctors, we had nursing school in Belize City. And
Mm-hmm.
from what I understand, you had vocational, so a student nurse would come from anywhere in the country. This is beyond the what the British did and the Black Cross Nurses Association and the midwifery and so on, the community nursing and public
Mm-hmm.
health. When that was disbanded, what you have is that yes, you want formal training, but the two are not opposites. You can have both, and we need both. So you had seasoned nurses and sisters and doctors who would be supervising these student nurses who would get a stipend. They were stipendiary, and they could live in and they could attend to patients and work their way up through experience. And what that gave the ability for them to sensitize themselves. I don't like that word, but they could be doing a practicum and growing into it. And we had a lot of Florence Nightingales. We have medical doctors, a lot of times the people who are the bright ones are victimized and deprived of scholarships. Then those who
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice, make their way and come back willing to contribute to the country. It's not just a brain drain, they try to blame our doctors and nurses when they are forced to go elsewhere in order to
Mm-hmm.
survive. Why is it that our nurses and our doctors in the Carl Hushner Memorial Hospital and especially even apart from the public facilities in the districts, their salary scale,
Thank you. Thank
their
you.
wages and so on, I am embarrassed to even speak about it. And then you know what they have? They have to scratch and they are trying to steal their dignity. Then they bring in foreigners under contracts from other countries and
Mm-hmm.
every but which way. And those
How,
people are just marking time till they could go elsewhere. They have no,
how
you
can
have
I benefit?
people who are of human quality, compassionate in those fields, who come from abroad. But what we have is they're not salt of the earth Belizeans. So they are an insulation for the politicals, the politicians who try to hurt the back of our people. And under Carl Hushner Memorial Hospital Authority, there was a time when doctors and nurses, you notice how they go from authority with the um, public facilities like the water and the electricity and so on. And it's usually the other step to privatization. So
Privatization.
what you said, Mr. Brackett, you find that there were a lot of dealings and wheelings and what we'd call national security behind closed doors, where taxpayers and the public were finding out that, you know what, when you go to the front door of these private institutions, you're not getting, because they're cold and indifferent and very commercial. If the Belizean with the emergency, you don't have your insurance to present, or you don't have your land papers, or you don't have your bank card, or you don't have your blue notes, or you can't break your piggy bank and count up your quintas. They said this is how we are paid. Guess what? Don't
No
go
service.
to, you not even land on first base. Call in difference, matter of life and death. And then with the ambulance, you have ambulances, say, why they must say because one lady when 96 year old, the family, the nursing attendant, the care provider at home, call them, one say in a superficial way, then go through the motion, stop there. You must call police because they don't treat this as sudden death. When the family, the nursing care person, the person would have been there, they say, you know what, I am not doctor, but what we want, our doctor come quick, fast, and hurry. And then we have carry this person to the private institution because you know what? Every chance must be given to this person. So I could go on and on and on. But everything with this medical care in Belize, the one step forward and 10 step backward. Doctors in the past have suggested that Carl Houston Memorial Hospital could have third level tower. Because you know what? We have a hurricane out there near Lee right now, or about to be named Lee. But if the trajectory continue and be like Mitch, I believe City can handle one secondary we call it category 2. But when that come, you know what they say? Mandatory evacuation. When I'm Burgrisky and Kikaka and everywhere else, a mandatory evacuate. Some people want to stay and try back and down. People know what pass because it's a whole mess. So
Never ending.
I cannot say it except there are no polite way to describe what is happening. But it's sung to me like today, you go back to the constitution policies of state, right? And it's sung to me like they want to give up for we people, and they want for we people give up for we people, and all of them have most of them have the arrangements, the insurance and the air ambulatory arrangements. But God forbid, when anything happen, you know what? Those who are compassionate and care could still say the public hospital, we are bringing this one, and behind the scenes, make the public care, the private hospital personnel were like the front, the media, and so take the credit. But behind the scenes, we are bring together private, public, and we will save life. We take the what they call it? Hippocratic oath. We never take the hypocrite's oath. We never take the hypocritical oath. And I am serious. You have some foreign doctors who come and they cross the street, they in the medical gong, then go buy ice cream, they in the medical gong. They don't get the email that you
Sanitary.
know what, maybe they
Sanitary.
transmit germs and carry germs. And I will finish with this. COVID taught us and showed us how for we homegrown doctors, nurses, caregivers, the security, we call the one there we walk and just about everybody rank and file. And others who were retired came out of retirement. Some of the so-called politicians with their elitist attitude. Even that was something where they were trying to dismiss the involvement and input. And you know what? I was saying to certain people, no politician, no prime minister, no leader of the opposition, whether separate or apart, can veto the participation of anybody who has expertise and the heart of Belizean. The people of this country need your expertise, and that will be input. And you know what? Behind the scenes, those were the people who were able to do certain things, which they don't need credit, and I will not spell out. But what COVID taught us, what came out of that? For we people for Carl Hushner Memorial Hospital, you know what was happening at the private hospital? I don't need to say. There was a time when they never want to take anybody for COVID. You know what was the real intuition and the proper thing? They should have been able to take the lessons of the past and that private public segregation or separation. There was to be, you know what Ella said? Remember when TB and other thing? And remember when hurricane? When you have these health crises, you know, we talk about the Constitution, and even then, movement and such can be limited. But the word that Ella's used, there's a time when the government can commandeer the private whatever, and there's compensation later on. But as a part of your health emergency response, I know enough to know that that is what responsible governments and health policy people do. And it's not about being on TV and it's sung like your and the this and the nickname people and so on, while you're trying to leave off limit other people. It was not a popularity contest. It was about all hands on deck. And we have a lot of Belizeans abroad and other who have expertise, and by linkages, affinity, and goodwill, we have, what you call this thing? You have technology. And just like we are doing, you have telemedicine, right? Teleconsultancy, right? You have people here whenever they sleep, you know, and yet we have others here who it was, calling the call, so this, do that. Certain Belizean experts were volunteering to set up the technological thing to be able to do certain things. You know what though? It was, we have to get consultants from, it seems they had to be from somewhere north of Mexico, even north of the United States of America. We have brain power, and you can't buy them brain power. When I tell you, people may they come from all over and more than you could see. And in my view, that was the beauty of it, you know. That was how we were able to come through a certain way. And then on the nutrition part, wasn't it oranges which were 10 sacks for $1? With other thing where people had to use their old-fashioned medicine and good judgment to come through this? Why is it that our doctors and nurses can't get proper salaries? Start there with that. It's a shame. It's a national shame. But it's meant to force them out of public healthcare system. It's a national shame. And I will call it out.
Sharon?
Right.
I can't say more without. I was told that even in retaliation, don't be rude. I have to maintain polite words. There might be children and adults staring. And you know what? They want us to get vexed. They want us to throw tantrums. But we have to continue to use our equanimity, our humanity, and find the redeemable qualities in our people. All hands on deck. Call it out as you see it. Others could fill in the blanks. Thousands of Belizeans could fill in the blanks.
Thank you, Ms. Spitz. Well said. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, very, very well said. Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead, Greg.
We may have another chance for another round. No.
Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead, Greg.
You know,
and not forget the 90 million that I talked about, you know, Greg. Not forget the 90 million, right? Where we think it should have go, right?
When I listen to you guys, my virtual hosts, and the passion, I sit on the side silently, and I can only say, wow, because what you all are saying, I will say this for a fact. The government of Belize is not playing their role. The government of Belize is not protecting its territory. The government of Belize is not getting with private sectors to create jobs. The government of Belize cannot bring about peace and harmony in the community because they are lacking in the police department. The government of Belize is bent on external affair, not the external affair as in the ICJ, but to get with foreign investors to seek and do side deals with anyone who want to build in the name of tourism.
Mm-hmm.
The government of Belize is overlooking its responsibility when it comes to internal affairs. We just listen to the past head of the teachers union talk about we don't have a right to education in the constitution. And I mentioned something. COVID-19 has taught us nothing because we had the Minister of Education get up and said, the students have lost so much because of COVID-19, but yet you came with a curriculum that will take the teachers 3 years to understand. Now, how much further backward are you going? And not only that, internal issue. You couldn't take care of the courthouse. You're still not taking care of schools. St. Mary's is still there with nothing being done to it like San Pedro.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to talk about moving forward. And let me say this. Touching on healthcare, I know there should be a policy for government employed doctors. So why are we seeing doctors moving from one hospital to the other? You go to the KHMH and you deal with a doctor there for your health, only to find if you go to a private hospital, they are working there also.
Mm-hmm.
That is telling me that Belize is lacking when it comes to doctors. So how can we get the adequate medical attention? We already don't have CT scan. And you know what? You go across the border, a CT scan is only $75 to the amount of money they want for one in Belize. 700, 800.
Very powerful people.
And what else? The monies that the people put into Social Security, that is the people's money, should not be going through donation to help in the fixing of no courthouse, which the government could have simply went to the house and borrowed the money to fix the broken down judicial system.
And they still haven't done it.
Likewise, the money from Social Security, since it has to do with a health benefit for the people who put it there, any donation should be going to the hospital to help facilitating CT scans, X-ray machine, and to make sure there is adequate medication there for the people. Because in some instance, people have to live from there and go to a drugstore and the outside to buy the prescribed prescription drugs for their patients.
So true on that.
So these things have to stop. The government of Belize has to do more than it is doing. It has to deal not only with external affairs of foreign investors, but put its time to the ICJ, which is external, that we are hearing nothing about, as well as internal affairs. As we just see, there's another tourism hotel chain going up, $200 million. We have yet to see anything that has to do with that under the Freedom of Information Act. When are we going to move by these kinds of secretive deals? When are we going to get at least 3 or 4% of tourism money that is being spent in concert, that is being spent on highways and football fields, and put it into adequate shelters for the homeless who does not have a voice, and the sick and needy, the people who they want to take away their property, that are elders and cannot fend for themselves. And I will leave it at that.
Thank you. Thank you. Well said there. Right. Well said. Real issues. Real, real ills that we country. Right? Go ahead, Leonard.
Oh, may I, Mr. Chairman? May I, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Something just occurred to me.
Go ahead.
Masking tape. I said last week, or was it last week? Cover Benjamin when they deal with certain things. You know what we call colloquially cover Benjamin, when somebody they fix the house, but then just do not necessarily old board carpenter, but they do a cover Benjamin job, right? But masking tape, Mr. Brackett, Mr. Wade, Mr. Brackett, we never have the healthcare professionals, they say, that they had to use masking tape, because even medical tape never did it. With all this guys and chicanery and so on, why we not declared our masking tape policy they have for health? Our masking tape policy? Well, so no could call it masking tape.
Exactly.
I would like to add to what Gregory was saying just now, though, about this attitude of our Prime Minister running around cutting deals, using the powers of our government, interfering with foreign investors and other investors, whether foreign or local, and suborning the authority or the powers vested in our government to his own personal agenda, to the extent where he's even lying to his own cabinet members and not providing them with the necessary information that they need in order for them to make informed decisions. He keeps them out of the loop of what is happening. And it's after he decides what he is going to do,
Mr.
Brackett, we get to hear about it.
Mr. Brackett,
Go ahead, Sharon.
Respectfully, might that be, I know I said plausible denial, but cunning denial?
No, that's outright.
Might that not be that contempt. Those who are
that's outright
a
contempt.
little, not as, put it this way, no? Why is it when it comes to their private affairs, I don't know. If people go in their private business and then they're in government, wouldn't it be that when they look after public affairs, right?
Should have the same level of competence.
Skill and the ability to have accountability and to watchdog and to make sure that, I don't know, sir. I think all of them, what they say? If they say crocus beg, you don't know who and jump out first.
They're part of the same cabal. And then the ministers, them in cabinet, turn around and support the Prime Minister by saying, oh, they had their meetings and they decided that they are going to support their Prime Minister, when in fact they should have kicked his butt out of office by having a no confidence vote, because he's contravening the rules, regulations, the laws, the Constitution, and all manner of Belizean institutional ability. to function. But yet they're going to support him and say, okay, well, he's their leader, and therefore whatever he's that's why he treats them like that. That's why he
Mr.
pulls them
Brackett,
and do the kind of deals that
gentlemen,
he does and come to them for their support.
Mr. Brackett, politics makes strange bedfellows. Might not they be setting him up for a fall? Remember Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, he had a great fall, and they said, I never the fall will kill her. You know, he was an egg, and I don't know if that's salmonella or something akin to that, you know, when thing affected.
Uh-huh. But the truth of the matter is that this guy is suborning the powers of our government, and he have the members of his cabinet going along with him.
Or is he going
And
along
we are
with
going
them?
no, and we are getting pushed into deep holes because now, for example, this new venture that he's jumping on with this Key Chapel venture, where then people want to put up for their 200 odd million reserves
Aye,
and things.
aye, aye.
That is that in is he facilitating them with that in lieu of the Portico undertaking, since he proved himself to be so incompetent and a liar and a conniver, even to his own cabinet members then, as far as the Portico deal is concerned? Is he then jumping on the bandwagon for that other undertaking to then suborn all government power under the idea that, oh, that's a private endeavor? Portugal was supposed to be a private endeavor till he jumped in there and took it over as his own baby as well.
Key
And if any of
Chapel,
these,
lovely Key Chapel.
from what I understand, these people are not providing any jobs to Belizean. Most of the workers them are coming from Mexico right now, and the ones that are going to come to do the project are going to be coming from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador.
Or seven of them just got caught with coming from the north there. They say they're coming to work.
There was a
That's
time
what the
when
say.
So am I talking off the top of my head then?
No, you're not talking
it goes back to something that we were saying, please, gentlemen. Remember,
real
under the
truth.
Constitution, the freedom of movement, and with respect to what I was saying, that from a rule of law and a parliamentary democracy and the common law system, we inherited the right of way, the public access to beaches and foreshores, and they remain part of the public trust patrimony. Kikaka rubs raw because, Key Chapel, remember, there was a time some years ago when this tourism thing may start, when I think even a prominent duo, one in maybe BTB or something, and maybe close to a certain family, went to Kikaka and they were being told they can't get on it because the Key Chapel rather, because it was private. And that is wrong. In addition, I think they have both will go out there from Bridgefoot, but they have something where they're like, oh, the dog they actually they use dog against the people. Think apartheid. If you not think I had a joke, then I will go back. Key Chapel. When I say lovely Key Chapel, no amount of tourism, no Four Seasons hotel one endear me to Kikaka. What endears me to Kikaka? And it's a symbolism of Belizean pride and dignity. Key Chapel was the property of Isaiah Marta, self-made Belizean benefactor who left the Isaiah Marta will trust for a people's improvement. And it's there documented and archived. How on earth did this get away from our people? And I will tell you something. This tourism thing, you know what? We strayed from eco-cultural tourism, where we get the benefit, to this thing where, you notice when I keep saying, I said it at Swift Hall as well, and I keep saying it, and our song like scratch record. Cause all the old people, me know, they never had to go further than a high standard 5 cents or 10 cents or whatever they used to call it. We had people with less letters behind their names, but they had intuition and intelligence, were well read. and sensible and knew what to defend.
Basic common sense, as we
We
call it.
have that you can be on your beach. When I was at sixth form, we gone in at the boat jurisprudence. A man, Mr. Batty, drive us some away, join up with leave money and put gas. And when we dep on the beach, somebody come and some leave so-called hotel there and can tell what we can do with barbecue because they don't give us permission. And we were able to say, based on elder people passed on oral knowledge and history, please ask your manager to come himself because it's a public right away and we will enjoy our beach. The manager not turn up yet, but that because Belize and we like frightened for afraid. How when
Uh,
they give
I will,
free room and other thing we could go. Affairs of
Miss
state and
Miss Fitz,
I
Miss
don't need to
Fitz,
call anybody. Just in a
Mi-
quiet way, assert your beliefs and right. Yes,
Miss
sir.
Fitz. They are teaching Belizean history. How come these things never came up? And there's many more. And that's why I'm saying you took away world history, but you are not teaching true Belizean history. Because there's many more that has to do with this. Many, many more.
well,
Go ahead,
back to
So
Leonard.
back
why
to
did I want
Sharon,
the
Sharon,
patterns not
Sharon,
change?
Sharon. Just a
Yes,
minute.
sir, Mr. Brackett.
I need to finish my point that I was trying to establish earlier.
Yes, go ahead, Leonard. Sorry about
Um,
that.
that's all right.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
That's all right. Not Mr. Weird, the chairman, not me. But I did want to try and finish zeroing on the point, not before we go to the next round, no? What I was stipulating is that our prime minister is hell bent in subverting the governance powers of our country to the exclusion of members of his own cabinet, by the way. And this I'm not just saying because I have an imperial lip, right? This is the facts, as members of cabinet have actually acknowledged. They did not start the Jesuits recommendation or legal advice at the time when they were presented with documentations to facilitate and ram this stuff through cabinet to rush it to the house so that it could get completed by the 6th of June. And yet, they knew that the prime minister, because none of these guys in cabinet are stupid enough to not understand and know that they were being bamboozled. In fact, some of them were in on the joke. Others were not. And it was some of those that were not that put up the objection. Who is objecting right now? While they're still working on the political agenda to complete that, who is objecting right now in cabinet on this $200 million project that they're going to do at Key Chapel, which is right next door to Feinstein activities or port activities, right? Not too far away. And they're going to help these guys get their stuff done while Feinstein project is languishing and while Ashcroft project is not allowed to go forward. And while they're still working on the political activities without permits and permissions and without a completed agreement.
When the elephants fight?
I'll leave it at that for right now.
Mr. Brackett,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, can I piggyback to shed some light
Go ahead.
of what is happening here?
Go ahead, Greg.
It's not hard to see what is happening in this country. As you can see, an amendment was passed to the liquor law that gives businesses the right to open on Good Friday and sell alcohol in violation of what we would call a tradition or culture to church people.
Exactly.
Now we have the 10th of September. being held on a Sunday, a day when churches get together and do worship.
We're getting a new
But let
identity.
me say this. Let me say this. I believe and I can almost guarantee this is a payback from the business senators and the Senate inquiry of the government. Likewise,
Mhm.
you see this definitive agreement that was exposed. We have another payback to the Minister of Tourism when you have the Prime Minister of this country standing up with foreign investors,
Mhm.
taking a drink, and not the Minister of Tourism, who is the one who is supposed there to go there and deal with this kind of investment.
Mr. Brackett, remember that gentleman was one of those that had to do with the Portico undertaking, right? And now he's not in cabinet anymore. Might he have been one of those that was aligned with Mr. Mala and Mr. Musa and the other and Mr. Julius Espat and others whom in cabinet may have turned out to have become the majority in cabinet at that time. So now he doesn't have to suborn this gentleman that is now out of cabinet, does he?
Smart move.
Well,
He
well,
was
Mr. Brackett,
wait. He the prime minister now, when he was deputy prime minister under the previous um, Musa administration, was kicked out of cabinet, right? So he learned something from that. So now he kicks out somebody that opposes him in cabinet by virtue of disciplining them, right? And he's taking over the person's office. He never bringing another person out of the backbencher before to take up that office. He's taking it up onto himself. When he, as the prime minister, is already in charge of taking care of or overseeing all the other departments, them, including his own ministry, that have a few other ministries aligned to it, besides the Ministry of Finance. Why is he taking on these things? So he don't have to go to nobody else to get their acquiescence and to get them to agree or to support him to go ahead and do what he's currently doing. Arbitrarily and capriciously, he's going to cut his deals and to hell with anybody in cabinet or anybody else in the public, or even to hell with the legislator or to hell with the courts. You know, the guy is gone totally berserk and rogue.
So
but
true on
but
that,
you know
guys.
what?
So true on that.
It's a
So true on that.
proven fact, and I will tell you why. I will tell you why it's a proven fact and why it was not the Minister of Tourism standing up there. In-house fighting. Did you recall when Mr. Shinebarrow Lou said he wanted to audit the tourism money?
Mhm.
Who stand up and said it's democracy? Let them audit it against his fellow minister,
Mhm.
Mr. Who? Expat. That right there is telling me, you know what? It's not all fine and dandy with this
On a previous
party.
on a previous show, sorry, Mr. Chairman, for jumping in, and sorry, Greg, for cutting you off just now. But on a previous show, you gentlemen, and well, I'm not sure if Sharon had heard me say this. When I requested that the Prime Minister demit office and do so as gracefully as possible with whatever dignity or honor he had left.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yes. Yes.
A lot of people thought that I was off my one rockers at the time for even intimating such a thought, much less expounding it. But all is not well in the blue camp.
I
And
want
it's
to
not
Yeah,
going
say
to be
man.
well
something.
in
It,
that blue camp for many
Uh-huh.
years to come, because there are too many people that see the Prime Minister doing craziness, putting himself in indefensible situation, and they're just lining up to be the next in line, to run the party.
That's so true.
And the two Musas,
Well said there.
the two Musas, as far as the old guards are concerned, the two Musas are in line, one or the other, as their preference. But I can tell you, Mr. Julius Espat is not going to yield that easily. That he felt like he paid his dues and he is the one that's entitled to take that position. He was aggrieved even because they gave the deputy prime minister to Mr. Hyde. So that is the basis on
That
which
guy,
he castigated those other
Leonard,
guys.
that guy
Gregory.
should be the last guy to talk. You know, how did he come to be in the People's United Party? He wasn't voted in,
You got the records on
right?
that, Mr.
I got the
Chairman.
records on that. They refused me a convention with him. They just endorsed that fool, right? Now he has a big mouth because, like, yeah, that's how he got into the People's United Party, and he should thank Said Musa for doing that, right? Give him that gold spoon in his, in his mouth, right?
And
They
I'll
didn't vote
expose.
in for him.
I'd like to expose something right here on this show tonight. I spoke about the two young Musas then, being one or the other that the whole guard want to take up the position of deputy prime minister when this knucklehead demits, because he will. Um,
I want to say something.
And I spoke about.
Your turn next, Sharon.
And I spoke about
Go ahead.
Mr. Spat, and I spoke about Mr. Hyde, but all of them could take a back seat to young Mr. Marine, whose father was jilted out of the leadership of that party way back when Mr. Musa took it over. It was Mr. Marine that was supposed to be being the prime minister after Mr. Price. And he felt jilted, and his son is just lying in wait. So if we think we know enough about what's going on internally to that party, when they get the message that we have been trying to send to them, hopefully it may not be too late.
Go ahead, Sharon. Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, I just wanted to make reference to the matter of the 10th of September. And this year, the date, the 10th of September, falls on the Sunday. Now, I was once chair of the St. George's Ski Day Society some time ago. And we used to sit on the National September Celebrations Committee. We had a seat there, central, and we used to say, however they behave, we have a duty to the people and country of Belize. So we did not shy from that duty, the time, the resources, the effort, and making sure that we put ourselves to the wheel. The thing is that a few years ago, 10th was also on a Sunday. I had said when I sat on the National September Celebrations Committee that it was, and I learned this from predecessors, and they had given a reference that you didn't have to take a decision, but formal decision was taken, a position and a stance long ago, decades before, that in keeping with the dignity of our people, the sensitivity to our people, our God-fearing way, our traditional way of life, you would hold the official ceremonies, the inauguration of the Queen of the Bay after, and the 10th of September parade and other celebrations on the Monday. Following on that, there was a time when, and this is about, I don't remember how much years ago, I was no longer the chairperson, and it came to my attention that they were holding it on the Sunday. The ceremonies, not just the 10th parade, the ceremonies and the parade. And I drafted the letter at the behest of the persons who were concerned. And I said, you know what, you can present this. Make sure you, on behalf of the people, and if this is your conscience and your concern, appeal to the good sense of whoever is running this. Sometimes I put people who don't know, who don't have archival memory, who they're either green or they motivated by some other agenda, but you show them the error of the ways and that's a contribution. The thing is, though, you notice you mentioned Good Friday. The Council of Churches, and I believe it's Father Leroy Flowers.
Sharon, take 3 minutes. Sharon, take 3 minutes, and then you wrap up. So
yes, I'll give you the
3 months, and then you give your closing to
the Council of Churches had a seat, and they were the watch guards and the vanguards of the people of Belize. The Council of Churches, Belizeans have been looking to them for a lot of things. And the Council of Churches fell long on his face when it came to the Good Friday and the tampering and the messing around. And I think it was a test. And if it is that the Council of Churches never show backbone and they never close ranks and neck the government or minister, whoever, I was saying if it was by statutory instrument, it's the easiest way. Minister could sign back the statutory instrument. If he never know, no tourism to take the place and push aside to we tradition. And this was not just a religious tradition. For all God-fearing Belizeans, even those who love rum and love drink and love bacchanal, they knew
that is correct.
the time that they showed some decency. And you know what? If they may give up that self-denial, Good Friday, guess what? Who like rum, double up and drink rum? Who like dance, triple up? And so the thing is that the Council of Churches, now we're hearing loud and clear from them. But what they should do, they should have spoken out long before, and they should mandate and bring themselves back to sitting on the National September Celebrations Committee and looking out for the God-fearing people of Belize from all of the churches of Belize.
This is not happening accidentally.
They should work with one voice. And I definitely support Council of Churches. I volunteered. I'd sent messages in person. I sent to certain people. Pro bono. The people are out there. They have the backative of the Council of Churches. Because when our people stray, the Council of Churches should pull in our sheep. They should pull our people, and the Belizean respect the Council of Churches. And the government respect the Council of Churches. And the ministers will have to line up and say, we beg pardon and pray for us. We have straight Council of Churches. This was the error of our ways. So you know what? With 10th of September, it's the ceremonies as well. And our Prime Minister must be there. It's a public duty. You're not left your public duty and office and say you have some excuse or emergency and you turn up power key, they cut ribbon for some private thing where some foreigners come, they open some kind of tourism venture. Our people didn't say to them enough is enough. They must hear our voices. But the clarion call must come from the Council of Churches. Bishop Bengoshe, you know, to wear blue shirt, red shirt, you have to wear red, white, and blue clothing and pray, but as well in your quiet voice, send out a message. Lead the Council of Churches, lead in this. And your people shouldn't be boxed into a corner where they fear that games have been played with the 10th of September. And this the one way by sleight of hand and hidden agenda. Mr. Brackett, you mentioned something about the Chamber of Commerce. I wasn't even thinking that.
Your turn next, Leonard. Thank you, Miss. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Leonard, with your closing. 3 minutes there, Leonard.
On what Sharon was saying.
3 minutes on your closing, Leonard.
Yes, sir. To get back on what Sharon was saying, and then just to make sure that that point is well taken, because the issue, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. The issue of the issue of that putting the church against the people, or the people against the church, as regards to trying to use Sunday for the 10th of September march instead of they give out the Monday as they usually used to do.
And ceremonies, the official ceremonies and the march.
It is a deliberate, intended effort to create conflict and to derogate from the 10th of September its true value and its merits by creating a conflict with the people who support the 10th of September activities and those who believe that as Christians we should be able to have with Sunday free of encumbrances and not having, because they could have just as well, okay, say, do it on Saturday, the 10th of September, one day earlier or one day later. But no, on Saturdays they usually have the other parade, right? The bacchanal or whatever they call it. You know, the road march thing then.
The carnival.
Carnival. So they don't put 10th of September ahead of Carnival or above Carnival. They put Carnival first, which is part of the thing that they were saying before when they were trying to get rid of 10th of September. So that we could lose the institutional memory about the reason why we have a vested interest and a right to be in that country. They're trying to wipe away any and everything that, in fact, they even deny that there was even a battle that we are commemorating.
Because the Battle of St. George's Key is key even in this ICJ matter, because they never England take any decision to stand and defend that the people in the Bay of Belize.
We ask England, and this is another historical point that people need to zero in on, very critical. England did not come and took us over. We asked England to come in and assist us with our defense posture. We asked for the defensive capabilities of England to come in and assist us and protect us. England never came to Belize and say, okay, well, we want to take that piece of land, or we want to take over whatever activity is going on there against our will. That was seeded as a part of the process over a period of years. We were self-governing before the English, they came in there and turned us into a colony. A lot of people don't even know that history. Huh?
One more minute.
Yes, sir. A lot of people don't know that history. And unless we teach our young generations these things, in the future, they won't have that point of reference or knowledge. And any kind of bamboozling stuff that these people bring to them would be good enough to just, dispense with us and what we think is all right. I'll yield back the rest of the time to
thank you there, Leonard. Go ahead, we're closing there, Greg, so we stay on time now.
Let me say this. As we go back to 10th and what is happening, we can see that the government is trying to do a separation of state and church. It happens when they pass the equal rights that we are hearing about now that Mr. Usher is teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And it is happening when the Creole people does not have representation and the PCC, but those people who had that rights had representation with the head of that same organization wanting to take God out of our constitution. So, as we see, as Ms. Pitts say, the churches need to get a hold of what they're doing because they have many faults. And I've said it before, when they sat in cabinet,
under attack, and they must find its backbone. They must find its backbone.
When they sat in cabinet,
the church have to protect the people and country.
When they sat in cabinet and made an elected foreign minister pass laws in violation of our constitution against all people, and I will specify the NPO bill that they want people who donate that don't want to give their identity.
He's not elected.
Yes, an unelected foreign minister.
Unelected, yeah.
Unelected, oh, okay.
I want to say something quickly, right? Another area under which they've attacked the churches, and ironically, it was at a Roman Catholic church that a foreign, when I say foreign, a priest who came from abroad was railing up when the Belizean ban one day, like I don't know. Remember that matter with the requirement for all these companies and non-profit organizations to re-register where
That's
they
the
want
same
to get
thing.
Right.
one car.
That's
That is not correct
exactly
because that is deprivation of property. That is a
right.
slight of hand that our coup against even the churches because what they're trying to do and they say, okay, well, you need foreign accountability. But usually you have
Taxes.
laws to provide protect against retroactive imposition of
But
legislation.
but
Now
the
these
churches
have
was
been
given the church
pre-existing
the church
institutions and organizations.
the churches was given an understanding according to
This
Mr. Courtney, and the
this
churches
is
went
why
along with it. The churches went along with it with the understanding instead of demanding that they may put that understanding in at the CM bill, they went ahead and voted for the bill. And now that
But who
understanding
right.
does
was
not
there for the
happening.
church? Who was representing the church?
Pastor Oroko,
No, no, Bengushe was.
yes.
And
Benguche.
I
Yeah,
was saying this to
go
say
ahead. Go ahead.
the attack.
Our pastors
And
and our churchmen must be remain cognizant, remain spiritual, and some are like red, some are like blue. But I'll say
but
it, they must love spirituality, the church, their flock,
That's their
and
first
in terms
calling.
of the country, the
That
red,
should be
white,
their
and
first
blue of
priority.
belief. The red,
that
white, and blue. Uh,
that
they have to find the courage, the clarity. They cannot
Uh,
confuse the people of Belize. Remember,
Well,
I said there's a
we're 2 minutes
kaleidoscope
beyond,
of
guys,
confusion
Mr.
that
Chairman.
thank you.
the church cannot descend into
Let me
this
Uh,
close up
confusion.
here
Mr. Chairman, have to wrap
with a
up.
couple minutes here.
Greg,
Let me
Mr.
first of
Chairman,
all,
Greg was still trying to finish a point. Let us
let
know.
me
Um,
hurry say this to
give him
say
a minute, and then we close up.
this is why I was saying the churches, like Mr. Wade had said, we need elected senators
Mm-hmm.
because they are not doing the people's work. When you will go along with a government who is violating the people's right,
Mm-hmm.
when you will come with an NPO bill, a civil assets and explain wealth that is targeting Belizean,
Mm-hmm.
who is not involved in corruption, it is ludicrous. You have backed them in that. Now they are coming after you, you know, because they attack on our democracy and constitution. Look at the draconian gun law, the enterprise law. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? It's the same thing these bills are passed under against. You are deemed guilty and you have to go prove your innocence. So if they come and ask you how you get this house and they freeze your assets, you have to go and prove to them how you get it when it should be the other way around. The government should have the burden of proof.
So we come right back to where Mr.
You know?
Chairman started out the program tonight with, right?
Exactly.
Full circle, right back to where he started the program when he was mentioning
With
about.
that said, Mr. Chairman, I yield to you for your closing.
guys, I want to thank you, and it's always a pleasure. I want to thank Miss Sharon Pitts, attorney at law, for making it here with us again tonight and supporting our cause. I want to thank Leonard. I want to thank Gregory, for being faithful on our cause, on our mission is to educate the people, and we are about people and nation, right? You hear us, whatever we talk about, it's about for our people and our nation, right? So on that note, I just want to say quickly, we see what happened before with we saw Mr. Pastor Rock. See the way he behaves, how the UDP had got him. Now you see the similar behavior of this church senator in the Senate. Similar behavior. They're all in line. You say, follow the leader. Follow the leader. Nobody has a voice, gentlemen. And it's all about divide and conquer. That's what the PUP is good at. Divide and conquer. And they will continue doing that to us until and only the people has the say come that day. Only the people. Until then, you know, I want to say again, I want to thank you guys. And it's always a pleasure. It's a pity we only have an hour and 30 minutes. Right?
We got an hour 35 right now plus.
35 plus. Right, again, Ms. Sharon, thank you. And looking forward for Friday.
Good night. Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good night. Good night.
And listeners, Leonard,
One person put up the one comment that one person had made saying good night. I think Sharon had mentioned that earlier. And then I posted one expressing thankfulness to Mr. Brackett, Mr. Gregory Brackett, and Mr. Roody Wade, and Ms. Sharon Pitts for a wonderful, healthy, informative, and inspiring educational effort.
Until then,
as a public benefit. That was a comment that I posted myself. Good night and thank
and beyond. Good night.
Good night to the people at home and abroad.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
We're gone.
Good night.